Slaying that jank.
Thank you in advance for checking out my video. If you liked it, I'd appreciate it if you like, comment, and most importantly subscribe to help support this channel.
Do it.
Thanks again. Hey guys, Trent here, coming at you with another spoiler video today. War of the Spark spoilers for April 5th, 2019. So today we got some pretty interesting ones, and I'm going to talk about the ones that I find the most interesting. So kind of the honorable mention one today is Tomik, the Distinguished Advocist. He's a legendary creature, human advisor for 2 white mana, 2/3 flying. That's pretty good. A pretty good rate. It is legendary though, but it has a very strange ability that I don't know if there's any other cards that are like it. It affects pretty much activated abilities with lands. So lands on the battlefield and land cards in graveyards can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control. And your opponents can't play land cards from graveyards. So obviously this seems like it's made to naturally be involved in like legacy lands as a hate card, something like that. I don't know how relevant this will be in standard as far as that ability, but a 2/3 flying for 2 is pretty good, even if it is legendary. So interesting card. I think it's the first of its kind as far as that kind of hate bear ability. So we'll have to see if there's actually something that happens with it. So Devouring Hellion is kind of interesting because we're seeing a lot of sacrifice benefits for sacrificing stuff in this set. Devouring Hellion is a pretty powerful one, other than the fact that it's pretty much a vanilla creature once it enters the battlefield. So Devouring Hellion, 3 mana, 2 colorless and 1 red for a Hellion. Uncommon. When it enters the battlefield, you can sacrifice any number of creatures or planeswalkers. If you do, it enters it with twice as many +1/+1 counters on it for each sacrificed creature or planeswalker. So wow, yeah, 1 sacrifice makes this a 4/4. That's pretty good for 3 mana. I don't know if the reason why I wanted to talk about this card is because, so I don't know if maybe Rakdos or maybe Mardu is going to be able to do some kind of Aristocrats style deck. Because, I mean, usually Aristocrats is, I think a lot of times, more black and white. But this red card has that in it as well. And there's one other card that came out today that I want to show you that kind of follows that theme too. It seems like these two go together to a certain degree. Or they both have that pretty beneficial sacrifice ability, and that's Mayhem Devil. So this one is in Rakdos colors, so for 3 mana again you get a 3/3 creature type devil. Whenever any player sacrifices any permanent, it deals 1 damage to any target. That seems pretty good, pretty relevant. I don't know, I'd be interested to know if there's any kind of Rakdos sacrifice deck that can happen. I think the biggest problem as far as standard is concerned is I don't think that there's a straight up, I don't think there's a straight up free sacrifice outlet where you can just sacrifice any number of creatures at any time. I do believe most sacrifice abilities right now in standard require you to pay mana. So if we do have that free sacrifice outlet, then cards like this become a lot more powerful. But this is a pretty interesting card, and a 3/3 for 3 ain't bad. That can possibly deal some more damage. Maybe there's a sacrifice deck in Limited. So the next one is an interesting one. It's a vehicle, Mizzium tank. So it's in red, it's 1 colorless and 2 red for a 3/2 trample. It is a rare. So whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this becomes a vehicle and gets +1/+1 until end of the turn. So you cast a shock or an opt, and this becomes a 4/3 until end of turn. Any turn, by the way, of course you can use it on defense. It's kind of interesting. And it has a very low crew cost of 1. This card, to me, seems like it's, if mono red continues to be a thing in a couple seasons from now, which it seems like it's just kind of a mainstay in the metagame for forever, I don't know. But this could be a 3-drop replacement for some of the cards when they rotate out, maybe like Chain Whirler or something, because it does seem pretty good. I think right now what would be holding it back is the other more powerful 3-drops in the red slot. But this is could be a highly aggressive card. I mean, a 4/3 trampler that can't be wrathed away for the most part is pretty good. So we'll have to see where it falls into the meta game as the seasons go by. So the next one's an interesting Manland. We got a Manland in the set. It's pretty cool. Mobilized District. You can tap to add a colorless. It is a rare. You can pay 4 mana of any color, and it becomes a 3/3 citizen creature with vigilance until end of turn. And also it gets a activation discount of 1 mana for each legendary creature or planeswalker you control. So I believe this is the first vigilance Manland since Colonnade. The good thing about a vigilance Manland is that, of course, once you activate it, you could attack with it, and then you could also use that mana afterwards. So that's a pretty relevant thing. As far as the discount goes, I mean, sure, that's, of course, it's nice to have, but I don't know if you necessarily have to build around that. Just a 3/3 vigilance, on a stick for 4 mana, when in the late game or whatever the case may be, that you can still activate for mana after attacking, seems pretty darn good. I think this is a pretty decent Manland. I think we'll see this in a lot of decks. So the big one I wanted to talk about today is the Massacre Girl. Mono black, 5 mana, 3 colorless and 2 black for a legendary creature. She's a rare human assassin. So she's a 4/4 menace, but she has the sort of a Massacre Worm ability. Whenever she enters the battlefield, each other creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. But also when another creature dies, each creature other than her gets -1/-1 until end of turn. So this can be quite powerful. I mean, when you look at it, I think at first glance you may think, oh, well, it's just going to do -1/-1, but the thing is, once she enters the battlefield, and if she kills anything with that first -1/-1 effect, anything that dies is going to then again do -1/-1 to the board again. So this thing could cause a chain reaction that could actually wipe the entire board, and then of course she is not affected by her own ability, therefore she will remain on the battlefield, and you'll have a 4/4 menace on the battlefield. This card seems pretty strong. I don't know where we're going to see Massacre Girl, but I think we're going to see a lot of Massacre Girl. It's a really sweet card. I want to cast this and just annihilate the board. I'd like to see some kind of black deck again that has these sacrifice abilities to where, you don't really care if your creatures die. Maybe stuff like with the reassembling skeleton and all that kind of stuff, where, your creatures dying actually benefits you, and this would be like a nice top end to a deck like that. Pretty sweet set of spoilers today in general. So I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good one.